Today's Smokin' topic is about workplace health and wellness. We're here with Lori Power from MP Benefits. One of the things that we like to do, Lori, in our conversations with our guests is we introduce what we call a smokin' topic. And really it's just kind of the thing that's in the news today, or the thing that's important to you today. And it could be current events. It could be really anything. So smokin' topic from your side of the table, Lori, I think you wanted to talk a little bit about workplace health and wellness.
Well, yeah, we were talking about the vaccine and privacy and how that impacts employers. It's a tough topic because there's no easy answer for it. So last week I was talking to an employment lawyer, and we get no closer to an answer because with regards to health and wellness, an employer has a duty to accommodate, has a duty to keep their people safe. And does that mean that they have a duty then to mandate this vaccine or to make sure that people are being vaccinated? How does it impact them opening the doors? There's no answer. And the quick answer is no, don't bridge it, don't go there. But yet there's so much misinformation and counterintuitive information coming out from various sources. So it makes their head spin a little bit. So if that's a smoking hot topic for me in my world, it is.
Well, I've seen bits of it. I mean, that feeds into, having a vaccine passport sort of thing, whether or not you're going to be allowed to get back into the country or leave the country if you don't have this vaccination proof. It's interesting to take it from the perspective of an employer and whether or not they need to oversee that their staff is getting vaccinated so that they can open their doors and have customers in the door. I never looked into that or heard of that. So that's interesting that you're seeing it.
Everybody's definition of a safe workspace is completely off the chart one way or another. Or, you might have an employer who feels that their workplace is safe as to the labor standards that have been set for preparedness. And you have an employee who says, well, I've got kids, vulnerable kids at home. I have my parents living with me. I can't come back to the office. I think I read in the Financial Post, I think it's Howard Levitt. I think he's a lawyer out of Toronto, and he writes a great piece all the time. And, one day it's from the employer side and one day it's from the employee side. And as you said, there's a lot of no's and a lot of unanswerable things, or a lot of make sure you're prepared, make sure you've taken care of this. I think, which is part of the health and wellness. I mean, the employer has to go to every length they can to make sure their employee is safe, like you said, and that they're taking care of them. But at the same time, their obligation goes to a certain point. And so it's this, I think there's an overlap, unfortunately. I don't think there's a line in the sand that yours is that side, mine's this side. We've brought it up to this level. You haven't brought yours over here. They have to be overlapped a bit. And I think that's the problem. When you overlap, it's like, okay, in the legal world, well, someone's got to be at fault when they need that. And when you have that much of overlap, you're going to just find them both at fault. Like, how it's very, very tough spot, I think, for the world to be in. So when you talk about the good things that came out of the pandemic, I'm not sure this one qualifies as the good thing because it's very difficult to sort out.
Well, it is, and it leads into that. If you are, let's say we're not until September when you can begin to call people back to whatever that looks like, that historical event of what used to be. But if you've had somebody working from home for 18 months, you actually, as an employer, have to check with your employment lawyer. Can you actually call them back? You've already established that they can do their job at home. And if you are now calling them back, are you running into that, I've effectively changed their job, which may lead into, have I effectively dismissed them? There are a number of issues. So, it's always good to know a lawyer and to be able to run these things. But the last thing I think employers want to be right now is that poster child before the Supreme Court of Canada when all this dust settles, right? Yeah. Did I do it right? I did it to the best of my ability in the time period. And is anybody going to remember that when the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, I think this is going to be with us for quite some time. And, even the working from home piece, I think there's a lot that goes with that. That's going to come out in the end. There's going to be people who do want to work from home. And depending what people recreate their vision, I guess, of your business for a business owner, when you're looking at how do we accommodate these people and what does it look like? I think, once again, there's going to be a bit of a give and take here, because if you have a large segment of your employees at home, you lose a little bit of what happens in the office, the camaraderie, some of the things that you need people to kind of be looking across the table at each other and hacking out fast conversation, not cutting in and out of a Zoom call with background noises, all sorts of issues that can happen. So I think when you get to that point, I think if you're somebody who wants to stay at home, maybe you're more productive at home. Usually people who want to stay at home believe they're more productive, and I think that could work in the employer's favor. But at the same time, if you're going to work from home, the employer is going to start looking, well, if I'm employing these people around Canada, why can't I employ these people around the world who do the same job? And there's going to be some pressures on the cost of what you're getting paid or the remuneration when they're going to find people who are working at home from overseas. So I think we got to be careful how far we want all of our newfound maybe benefits or rights to go. But at the same time, we work out of the office. We see the benefit of being able to communicate in a more effective manner. I'm a horrible typer. So for me, working at home and trying to send notes out, especially those little pieces that you need someone to do, guess what? You end up doing it yourself. So it's really weird. You start to compartmentalize and manage in your own way, and you stop communicating a lot in some situations. And some people get fatigued from the Zoom meetings and all of that too. So there's no right answer. I just don't know where it's going to end up and where it's going to put some employers.
Well, that leads into that liability, right? Do they have the policies and guidelines to sustain that working from home? Because it's again, working from another angle. It's one thing for an employee to want to work from home, but is the employer protected in the case of a slip and fall, right?
Oh, boy, yeah.
When the home is now the office and you have no control over the internet coming in, you have no control over whether they mop the floors or they shovel the driveway. Yeah. So what's your policies and guidelines regarding that? So there's a number of issues, but like you say, I mean, there's all kinds of places now that are advertising, if you can work from anywhere, work from here. So when you talk about people working anywhere around the world, for sure. But the other thing that I'll say that I read about, research a lot about, is that mental health capacity of some people will say they want to work from home and they may be productive working from home, but are they mentally able to work from home because they don't have that water cooler conversation and they don't have that little bit of gossip that keeps them engaged in that workforce. So there's no easy answer, just like you said. And there's no quick fix to it. It has to be thought out thoroughly.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's a smoking topic, right?
Yeah.
It is a smoking topic.
There's no answer to it.
I think there's just so many outcomes, good and bad, that can happen from this. From just along the lines of promotions as well. What happens if you're from a person working from home and it seems like the only people getting promoted are the ones in the office? That is that discrimination. Like we're gonna wind up in a whole mess with a lot of these things, and whether it truly gets sorted out or there's just a whole new classification of an employee who is someone who is a few days. I mean, I know we already had it, but I don't even know if the proper, as you said, paperwork has been put in place to accept somebody 2 days at home, 3 days at the office, or you must put in a certain amount of time at the office in a given month. Like, I just don't see any of that being documented well, and from both the employer and the employee side. I mean, I
don't see that either, Dave. I really don't. There's very, very few proactive employers out there right now that have even taken the time to review what their guidelines are and their policies are saying, and are they even in line with all of the massive changes that happened in 2020 with regards to the Employment Standards Act. So there's a lot to be looked at. from an employer's perspective.
Definitely. I guess one last thing about within our smoking topic framework here, from a perspective of your plans and claims, uptick in pharmacy claims and things. Is that something that's happened over the last year and a bit?
Through the roof. I think Benefits Canada released a study that said overall across Canada, pharmacy claims are up 5.3%, which I thought was super low. So there must be a lot of people that weren't claiming at all that are now claiming. But we've seen a lot of increase in the pharmacy claims. RBC did a paper recently that suggested that during the pandemic, in light of a doctor not having a network to refer to, they would just prescribe. So if that doctor isn't affiliated with somebody who's a psychologist or a social worker or somebody who can help that employee holistically, then their default is a prescription. So you've seen prescriptions go through the roof. So Morneau Chappelle has done a number of studies on this as well. But you're right, pharmacy claims are through the roof. Addiction is through the roof. So we're using more in pharmaceutical and we're drinking a lot more.
Great. We got these glasses in front of us. So it doesn't look
Lori,
good.
you weren't supposed to say that.
We're supposed to talk about our iced tea.
That's why I put mine in a coffee cup.
There you go. No, we're just outright promoting it.
Yeah, we're waiting for a sponsor from Florida Canada at this point. I can tell you that.
Well, that's great, Lori. Thanks for your input on our smoking topic. Before we wrap up, what's the best way to get a hold of you? I mean, you're open for business, obviously, in MP Benefits. You want to get in front of more employers by the sounds of it, because that's who's going to engage with you and generate and create these plans. So how do we find you?
Oh, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can give me a call. It's you can send me an email, lori@mpbenefits.com. I make it super easy. So on most social media channels, you can just put in MP Benefits and open the door and walk in.
Thanks for watching this episode of Smokin Bulls, the podcast about business, money, and lifestyle. You can learn more about us at smokinbulls.com or follow us on our social media.